You guys, we have got to talk about this new Justin Baldoni lawsuit because he has been hit once again, and it does have to do with the whole Blake Lively situation of it all. So we are going to break down what this new lawsuit is and everything that has recently been said about Justin. Before we spill the tea, let's talk about what to do when life spills you. If you've been seriously injured and don't know where to start, Morgan & Morgan might have your back, America's largest personal injury law firm. And they make it so easy to turn a messy situation into a better one. And if you become their client, they make hiring a lawyer super simple. I for sure used to think that hiring an attorney was this long and complicated, expensive process, but not with Morgan & Morgan. More than 3 million people have trusted Morgan & Morgan when they were injured in an accident. And when you're injured in an accident, hiring an attorney is one of the first things you should do. Morgan & Morgan has achieved significant verdicts in the past couple of months for victims involved in life-altering car crashes, and the fee is absolutely free unless you win your case. And with Morgan & Morgan, submitting a claim is so easy. Everything can be done right on your phone. You can submit your case details, sign contracts, upload documents and medical records all from your cell phone. And you can even text your attorney and legal team throughout the duration of your case. So if you ever get seriously injured, your case could be worth millions and you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. It's literally so easy. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan by going to www.forthepeople.com/spillsesh. The link will also be in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen using your phone. And I want to say thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into the news. Now, before we get too into the new lawsuit, let's talk about how him and his team are handling the Blake Lively lawsuit, as they recently responded and gave their opinions on her targeting creators. This legal letter is a response from the legal team representing Justin, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, and others associated with Wayfarer Studios, addressing Blake Lively's motion to remove confidentiality designations from PR firm TAG's responses in their lawsuit. Blake claims these responses could prove that the group, including Justin and TAG's Jennifer Abel, launched a secret smear campaign against her in the media. However, Justin's team argues there's no actual evidence of this and insists the backlash Blake has faced was a result of her own actions, and feel like the recent backlash that she has received doesn't have anything to do with them, but the fact that she has been sending out subpoenas to platforms like Google and TikTok and X, targeting creators who have spoken about her. They stress that Jennifer's firm TAG wasn't even hired until after the backlash began. While firmly denying the smear campaign allegations, Jennifer and her team ultimately agreed to declassify the documents to avoid further conflict, asking that Blake stop calling the campaign untraceable. And in their legal letter, this is from Justin's legal team talking about all of this, they wrote, according to the motion, a core component of Lively's claims is that the Wayfarer parties are engaging in a smear campaign to somehow manipulate the apparently worldwide media landscape using untraceable sources to portray her as the wrongdoer. Characterizing the so-called campaign as untraceable not only defies common sense, given that Lively knows precisely which news articles or stories and the authors thereof she takes issue with, but also undermines any justification for her ongoing effort to use this court and the federal rules of civil procedure to discover the untraceable. In any event, Lively contends that TAG may have been able to obscure its contacts in connection with the initial smear campaign in August 2024. That is an admission that despite months of discovery, her receipts of thousands of pages of documents, and her service of dozens of subpoenas and other requests for written discovery, Lively has no evidence that the Wayfarer parties employed a smear campaign or did anything in August 2024 other than protect their reputations, as they are entitled to do, when Lively's allegations were publicized. Indeed, TAG was not retained until early August 2024, rendering Lively's claim that in less than 2 weeks, TAG was able to turn the public against her incredible. Unable to accept the fact that the public backlash against Lively was purely organic, the motion improperly seeks to blame TAG for Lively's sinking reputation. Without citation to any evidence, the motion alleges that the individuals identified in the interrogatory responses have spoken publicly about Miss Lively and this lawsuit, apparently at the behest of TAG and the other Wayfarer defendants. However, the motion ignores the broad scope of the interrogatories, which seeks the names of those whom TAG has merely communicated concerning, among other topics, Lively, her allegations, or this lawsuit from May 2024 through the present. That is why the interrogatory responses identify those whom TAG has harmlessly provided quotes from the Wayfarer Party's counsel in response to media requests for formal statements in connection with legal developments herein, as Lively's legal team has repeatedly done. The interrogatory responses are in no fashion an admission that TAG communicated with the individuals to tarnish Lively's reputation, as she falsely alleges. Lively will not uncover any nefarious efforts by the Wayfarer parties to convince anyone that she is anything or nothing at all. In fact, TAG did not communicate with any content creators about this matter or the underlying allegations until 2025, when requests for comment were offered. And like I said, in this legal letter, they are claiming that the recent backlash against Blake is likely due to her own actions, specifically sending those subpoenas to Google, TikTok, and Twitter/X, requesting private information about content creators. And like we've talked about before, some of them aren't even content creators. Like, some of these look like regular people that just post on social media sometimes, and they're not in the commentary world at all. They continued, first, if the interrogatory responses are currently reviewable only by counsel, they cannot affect the public's perception of Lively. Second, the recent public backlash was seemingly triggered by subpoenas that Lively's counsel served upon Google, TikTok, and X, seeking all account information, including phone number and financial information of specific content creators. According to one article, if Blake Lively had been hoping to garner public sympathy in her ongoing SH lawsuit with Justin Baldoni, that now seems unlikely given the backlash over her subpoena to Google for information about several pro-Justin Baldoni YouTubers. Third, of the various content creators and members of the mainstream media identified in the interrogatory responses, only one of them is the subject of the social media subpoenas. Therefore, the interrogatory responses and the designations thereof as confidential and AEO are irrelevant to the public relations mess that Lively has brought upon herself. Had Lively's counsel properly engaged in and continued the meet and confer process concerning the interrogatory responses, instead of filing the motion in a misguided effort to blame the Wayfarer parties for her public relations woes, a response of this nature would not have been necessary. Tellingly, the motion lacks citation to legal authority supporting the de-designation of the proprietary information contained within the interrogatory responses. The reason for that omission is clear. The motion was filed for a single purpose: to wrongly foist upon TAG and the other Wayfarer parties the culpability for the criticism Lively has faced for her social media subpoenas. So they're basically saying, girl, that's all you that's getting yourself more backlash, not us. But this legal letter sent by Justin's team isn't the only thing being talked about right now, because like I said, he is in another lawsuit right now. He is facing even more legal trouble as his own insurance provider, Harco National Insurance Company, has filed a lawsuit against him and his production company, Wayfarer Studios. Harco claims it has no obligation to cover the legal costs associated with the ongoing dispute involving Blake. This means Justin could end up having to pay for everything out of pocket, adding yet another layer of stress to an already chaotic situation. Harco claims that Wayfarer had knowledge of at least one internal complaint, yet failed to inform the insurer, which would have affected Harco's decision to issue or price the policy. According to the lawsuit filed on July 21st, Harco claims that Wayfarer Studios held 2 insurance policies covering the production from July 2023 to 2025. However, Blake Lively's harassment allegations stem from incidents that allegedly occurred between April and June 2023, before the policies went into effect. Additionally, Harco argues that Wayfarer failed to disclose these complaints even though they were made during the coverage period. The insurer points to a November 2023 email from Blake's lawyers as evidence that Wayfarer was aware of the allegations but did not inform Harco, which could void the coverage. In July 2024, Wayfarer Studios applied to renew their insurance policy with Harco and was required to disclose any known issues that could potentially lead to legal claims. The policy explicitly stated that Harco would not cover any claims tied to incidents known before the policy began. Despite this, and despite receiving a formal demand letter from Blake Lively's legal team in November 2023 and additional harassment allegations during a January 2024 meeting Wayfarer told Harco on their renewal application that there were no known claims or potential claims in the past 12 months. Harco's attorney Evan Shapiro cited this in the complaint as a key reason the company is seeking to void coverage. If the court grants Harco's request to deny coverage, Wayfarer Studios and Justin Baldoni could be facing a 6-figure legal bill to continue fighting the lawsuits. It's surely made things messy because this is an expensive case and it may come down to money in the end. I mean, I know neither side wants to settle. That's been very clear with how hard they are putting up a fight. But if money becomes an issue, it might be a situation where they're forced to settle. But I don't know, we're just gonna have to see how things play out. But as of right now, that is what is going on from Justin's side. I certainly wanna know what you guys think about everything. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love you guys so much and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye guys.